Okay, so based on these two, we also worked out two numerical problems based on these equations, where we found maturity of the concrete for a given for different temperatures the daytime and nighttime. And one more thing, what we worked out was whether a formwork can be removed or not. That was one more thing we worked out. And we also have seen how long it's going to take for a concrete to attain its complete maturity. These are the two numerical problems we worked during the last class. Now again, very briefly, we talked about the relation between tension and compression strength of concrete. I said both are interrelated. So if you know compressive strength of concrete, we'll be in a position to find out the tensile strength of concrete. There are equations available that we'll be discussing in the upcoming modules. But for now, one of the important parameters is the compression test. It is a very basic test that we do it on the concrete. And once we know the value of the compression test, we'll be in a position to find out what is the tensile strength of the concrete. And moreover, both are interdependent, both are depending on each other. That means this tensile strength of the concrete is usually a some fraction are related with some equation in terms of compressive strength. That means compressive strength times of some function. I mean, tensile strength is the function of compressive strength. These are related through a mathematical expression. Now, one more thing, last thing we discussed was the factors affecting the strength of the concrete. I said there are many factors affecting the strength of the concrete. When I say strength, we're basically talking about compressive strength of concrete. The factors what we discussed was water cement ratio or a ratio of cement to aggregates. Basically, that's what is the gel space ratio. Then we talked about aggregates. In the aggregates, we talked about grading of the aggregates, their modulus of elasticity, and strength of the aggregate, strength of the parent rock. And these are some of the factors. And then we talked about type of curing, then what kind of pozzolanic materials you're using. Then certainly maturity is one more parameter that affects the strength of the concrete. So these are the factors that affect the strength of the concrete. Okay, this is what in nutshell we discussed in the previous class. Now let's talk about today's class in the current module. So what we do is we'll be talking about this by end of this current module, you will be in a position to explain the relationship between compressive and tensile strength. What the relationship that's existing between compressive strength and tensile strength of concrete. Then you will be in a position to explain importance of curing and various types of curing methods available. That's what is usually adopted in the practice. This is what we will be discussing in this class. So let me start the discussion. So first thing is we'll be talking about relation between compressive strength and tensile strength. So the way how we find out the compressive strength and tensile strength of concrete, we'll be discussing in upcoming modules because that's in the later part of the syllabus. So that maybe I'll just start explaining you the relation. If you remember, guys, compressive strength of the concrete is one of the very primary and basic properties of the concrete. So I think you already studied the DDRC subject, I mean, design of reinforced concrete structures, where you often use the value called FCK. Always use what is FCK's strength is characteristic strength of concrete. That's what is the strength of the concrete that we expect it to obtain after 28 days of curing. So that's what is a very important one. Then where do we use the tensile strength of the concrete? So this is mostly used in case of flexural behavior. Example, say in case of slabs. Okay, you want to find out what is the tensile strength of the concrete that is achieved, permissible tensile strength of the concrete. Because we don't want it to go beyond a limit. We don't want it to go beyond a limit where concrete cannot resist those tensile stresses. Okay, those some cases are flexural pavement is one more thing where we expect concrete to sustain some part of tensile stresses. So that's why the tensile strength of the concrete comes into play. Okay. Now let us see the relation between compressive strength and tensile strength. Again, guys, actually this relation usually we obtain through experimental studies, but in a broad way, when there are number of studies that happen, a lot of research went into it, and especially in the Indian perspective, the Central Road Research Laboratory, CRRL, have done the test on spectrum of concrete specimens, and they propose this following equation to predict the tensile strength of concrete. So to attain the compressive strength of concrete. So that is given by if y is the compressive strength of concrete, then if I take x as the flexural strength or tensile strength, both refer to the same thing. Okay, so like tensile flexural strength is one way of measuring the tensile strength of concrete. So this is, if you know the flexural strength, that means if you know the tensile strength of the concrete, we'll be in a position to find out what is the compressive strength of the concrete using this equation 11x minus 3.4. That means you substitute the value of compressive strength of concrete, so sorry, flexural strength of the concrete, then you will be able to find out the compressive strength of the concrete, the Y value. So you can see here it's almost 10 times. So if you reduce this 3.4, very small thing compared to 11 times of something. So it's almost 10%, 10 times of that. That means compressive strength is almost 10 times of your tensile strength. That's how it is. So again, there are the thumb rule available. So if at all, if you know your grade of concrete you're using, that means compressive strength of the concrete is more than 25 Newton per mm square. That means after 28 days of curing, if you're expecting concrete to gain a strength of more than 25. Other way around, if a concrete mix is more than M25, richer than M25 mix, then flexural strength of the concrete or tensile strength of the concrete is approximately 8 to 11% of the compressive strength. Example, say how you're using 30 mm, say M30 grade concrete. So your compressive strength is approximately 30 Newton per mm square, that is 30 MPa. If you're using about 11%, then I can expect it to about 3.3. So your tensile strength will be approximately 3.3 MPa. So or else maybe 8 to 11%, anywhere 10%, it will be about 3 MPa. That's how it is. If your mix is richer than M25 grade concrete. But if you're using anywhere between less than M25 grade concrete, that means if you're using M15, M20, M25 mix, for that tensile strength is expected to be between 9% to 12.8%, anywhere between these two. Okay? Because see, if you observe these two equations, you'll find that the richer the mix, that means when you go for higher grade of concrete, your tensile strength is coming down slightly. Because here they have the lower mix, the M15, M20, M25. So range is between 9 to 13 approximately. But when you're going for the richer mixes, greater than M25, the value is coming less than the 11%. That means it's becoming more of a brittle material. The richer the mix, when you go for the higher mixes of concrete, the concrete becomes a brittle, more of a brittle, thereby it will have less tensile strength. That's what it is. Let's move on. Now, actually, flexure to compressive strength, again, when I say flexure, we're talking about tensile strength of concrete strength is higher with aggregate 40 mm, because as I said, aggregates we use usually 20 mm in the site mostly, but there are the cases where you use 40 mm aggregate as well. But when you use 40 mm aggregate, okay, what you're saying is 40 mm will have higher strength, right? Okay. Flexure to compressive strength ratio is higher with more of flexure you will find when you use 40 mm as compared to 20 mm maximum size of the aggregate. Okay. In general, ratio was found to be slightly higher in case of natural gravel. If you use natural gravel, then usually the ratio between flexure to tensile compressive strength, that means more of a tensile stresses, tensile strength you will find when you use the natural gravel as compared to crushed stone. This is one more conclusion, one more inference we can draw from the research studies, a type based on type of aggregate we are using. Now there is one more empirical relation apart from CRRL proposed by other research people, other researchers across the world. So general equation is we take tensile strength is equal to K times of compressive strength power N. So K is a some kind of a constant and N is a one more constant. They vary based on the type of aggregate you are using. So K value varies from 6.2, that is for the gravel if you are using, and 10.4 for crushed stone. So based on type of excuse me, coarse aggregate you're using, the K value changes. So based on that, we substitute K value. N value varies again from half to 3 by 4. So you put half once, you put 3 by 4 once, probably you get two values. Then we say the tensile strength is anywhere between this value, that means K is, say, example 8.3, 8.3 times, say 20 is the compressive strength. We're talking about M20 grade concrete. So this is 6.2 into 20 power 1 by 2 to 6.2 into 20 power 3 by 4. So that means the tensile strength ranges anywhere between those two values based on N value. Okay. So this is one way of finding, other way of finding tensile strength of concrete if you know the value of compressive strength of concrete. And IS code specifically mentions, gives an equation to predict the flexural strength. Flexural strength is again a way of measuring the tensile strength of concrete, that is given by 0.7 times root FCK. Root FCK is, sorry, FCK is your characteristic strength of concrete, Newton per mm square. The way I think I'm sure you're aware what is characteristic strength of concrete. It is nothing but a concrete makes a compressive strength of concrete after 28 days of curing. So you do catch the concrete specimen, cure it for 28 days, take it out and do the compressive test on the concrete. And what the value we get, that's what is the compressive characteristic strength of concrete. The minimum value. The minimum value what we get is that's what the FCK value. Okay, so then if you know that characteristic strength of concrete, then the value we will be able, I mean, will be in a position to find out what is the flexural strength of concrete using this relation. So this what is proposed by IS 456 2000. Okay, so again, let me go back, guys. We have three equations when we talk about relation between tensile strength and compressive strength of concrete. Then we have three relations. One is proposed by CRRL, y is equal to 11x minus 3.4, where x is the tensile strength. So when it's no tensile, they can find out compressive strength. Other way around, if you know the compressive strength, we'll be able to find out what is the tensile strength of concrete. One more thing is arbitrary equation. One more is the numerical equation, empirical equation. Tensile strength is equal to k times compressive strength power n. So k and n are constants. K value depends on type of aggregate you're using, and n value varies from half to 3/4. And one more relation what we have is given by IS 456 2000. It says flexural strength is equal to 0.7 times root FCK. These are the three relations. So you can use any of the relations to find out the tensile strength of concrete if you know compressive strength of concrete. Because we most often, right? Most often we try to do the experiments on, try to compute experimentally the value of compressive strength of concrete. Whether you take any project, even if you're just constructing any G+1 building or just ground for small houses. So still, whenever you do use the concrete, right, for the slab or for the beam works, so we randomly take the sample from the site and try to see what is the strength of the concrete, whether you are we really achieving at the site the designed FCK value or not. Because see, you design in the classroom, maybe in the office, assuming M25 grade concrete, and in the site, if because of bad workmanship, if they're not producing 25 MPa after 28 days of curing, then whole design will be wrong, right? So you'll not be able to get the desired strength. So that's why whatever we design, so we'll make sure that we're achieving that strength of the concrete at the site also. That's why even for a small projects also, we usually take three cubes from the site, from the representative samples. Then we test in the lab and find out what is the compressive strength of the concrete after 28 days of curing. Then compare that value with your design values. Whether if you're using M25, I'll make sure that, okay, we'll check whether we are getting that 25 MP or not after 28 days. So that's why that's what the importance of compressive strength of concrete. Very often, most often we do this test. So once you know the basic value of compressive strength of concrete, then we can find out what is the tensile strength of concrete. Okay. So this is about the topic. Now let's move on to the next topic, guys. This is basically curing. So all of you know, I think probably you each and every one of you might have seen the curing of concrete taking place. So nearby areas, or when you pass by, you see people during the curing to the concrete structures. So curing in our terms, what we do? You just spray the water. So whatever concrete structures, you just try to spray the water. But then probably you might be wondering, maybe by now I think you are aware certainly. But in maybe before you took the class or before you joined engineering, sometimes you might be wondering, oh, why they're spraying water on the concrete structures. So basically, it's basically is to promote the hydration of the cement, because when the hydration takes place, then only it gains the strength. When it's a hydration, I want that chemical reaction between cement particles and water to take place. When that takes place, then we'll get CHS generation, thereby it gains the strength. So basically, the purpose of doing the curing is to promote the hydration of the cement. It is a procedure to control the temperature and moisture movement from and into the concrete. Because basically controlling the temperature, because on the hydration, you see there's a lot of heat is liberated, heat is generated. So to cool it down, I want to further the chemical process. I want to further the hydration of the cement, but then at the same time, I want to cool down the heat that is generated during the hydration of the cement. That is one thing. At the same time, I want moisture to be made available for the chemical reaction to take place. That's one thing. Second thing, I don't want all the moisture to go out of the concrete, so that again voids will form, again strength will be reduced. So that's just the second sentence I said. So you basically control the moisture movement from and to into the concrete. That's one thing. Then you control the temperature. That's the main purpose of doing the concrete. Again, main object, if you look at it, which is to cure at normal temperature to keep it saturated. That you want to always keep the saturation of the concrete to as much as possible. You cannot able to keep 100% all the time, but we'll try to make sure that you saturate the concrete to the extent possible, so that hydration continue to take place. This what is the main purpose of curing. And if you look at here, the diagram, so it says we have age on x-axis. That means the number of days after curing the concrete. Okay. Then, excuse me. Then I have compressive strength on the y-axis. If you look at this diagram, so we have 3 days, 7 days, 14 days, 28 days, 90 and 180 days. So look at this diagram. So this is continuous. The solid line says that continuous moisture. That means you made a concrete. Okay, you made sure that you provided the complete moisture to the concrete. Example, say you were completely covered with water all the time throughout until 180 days. Then this what is the strength it's likely to get? It's about 40 MPa is the strength when you provide complete moisture if you do the complete curing. Otherwise, let us say the last one continuously air, the bottom one. That means you prepared a concrete and you didn't do any curing. You just put it outside on the air. That's it. You didn't do any curing. You didn't add any water after that. So that means that initially it will gain strength for about 28 days. Okay, 28 days, it gained a strength of about maybe about 15, about 18, 16, 17 MPa. That's it. So thereafter, it's same thing. There's no increase in the strength with time. So, but maximum is the same mixture. With same mixture, it's a hard disk getting 16 MPa strength. But example, one more cause is that, okay, you're doing curing only for the 3 days, initial 3 days. Then you're taking it out and putting the specimen outside. Yeah, you don't do any curing. It will gain strength until some age, maybe about 20, 25 MPa, 25 MPa. Then if you don't do any curing, this stays almost same. Rather, it is decreased nominally, but it stays almost the same. Okay? The same case here. If, for example, say, let me take the last cow. So I'm doing the curing until 28 days. It gains strength. And if I don't do any curing, but still there will be increase in the strength because moisture is available for the hydration to take place for about 70, 60 days, 70 days. Thereafter, then there is a small reduction in the slight reduction in the strength of the concrete because again, water is not made available for the hydration of the concrete. So that's why hydration of the cement. That's why there will be slight decrease in the strength of the concrete. So this what is impact. See, even after 28 days, okay, you're getting a good strength. Example, say 35 MPa. Thereafter, okay, even if you don't do any curing, you're reaching almost 40. But then in the long run, your strength will be again coming to closer to 36 or 37. That's how it is. That's what is the importance of curing. That's why when you say when you build any concrete structures, right, we make sure that at least we do the curing for 28 days because that's what is our design strength, right? In FCK, we assume that the strength achieved by the concrete after doing the curing for 28 days. That's why minimum 28 days curing is required. That's why, guys, if you see any of the multi-story buildings, right, when they cast any slab, okay, they give the time until 28 days. 28 days usually they don't do any other work. They don't remove the form work. They don't do anything. They just do the curing. I mean, they remove the form work maybe after a few days, but then they continue to do the curing until 28 days. So after 28 days only, they'll stop doing the curing. This is the reason because until they do the curing until 28 days, you can't expect concrete to gain the expected strength. Now, this what is the impact of curing on the strength of concrete. Now, let's go through. Let's quickly look at what are the different types of curing. What are the different techniques to do the curing? One certainly is the water curing. As you know, that water is the most widely used material for doing the curing. Under that water curing is again there are different ways, different techniques how you use the water to do the curing. One such is immersion method. So completely you put a take a tub kind of thing, then put all your concrete into the you fill it with water, then put all your concrete specimens in water. It's always immersed in the water. So this is only applicable for the laboratory testing because if you are casting any specimen, if you want curing to take place, you can completely immerse in the water. That will take it. So it's completely immersed in water. But then this may not be the practical thing for your real world structures. Okay. This is most applicable for laboratory specimens. Then ponding method. This what is the mostly used technique on site for any residential buildings, even for the concrete roads, mostly for most of the concrete structures. What we do is we put a ponding, small ponds. So look at here. This is used with cement plaster. You just put a cement mortar, then create kind of a ponds, artificial ponds kind of thing. Then you again fill with water and let the water stay there for 28 days. And because of hydration, and because of the evaporation, so maybe you fill the water today, after 3 days you find that reduction in the water level, again maybe after 3 days come back, again fill with water. That's what we do. When that is done, then always you ensure that sufficient water is available for the curing of the, for the hydration of the cement, thereby you're doing a proper curing. This is one of the efficient methods to do the curing. Okay. Then we're talking about spraying or fogging. This is also one more method that usually followed at site, most of the site constructions. And you just spray the water every day or maybe twice in a day. You make sure that it doesn't get dried up, and keep applying the this thing water. Okay, that's what we do. Okay. Next, guys. Next is we have is membrane curing. So membrane curing is a type of a curing where we use a membrane. Membrane in the sense kind of a sheets, could be plastic sheet or could be other type of sheets, so that water evaporation doesn't take place. So let me show you. Look at here. Basically, it is completely covered with a absorbent fabric. So absorbent fabric is you put a fabric on top of it, you just spray the water on that. So these kind of fabrics, they absorb the water and they make water available for the hydration process. So they maintain their wetness, they remain wet for a long time, thereby that provides wetness to the concrete surface. So concrete surface doesn't, again it cools down the temperature that is liberated during the hydration process, and the water is made available for the hydration to take place further. Okay. And then you can use generally jute bags or cotton mats, cushion cloth, etc. also used as covering. This is a kind of wet covering or moist covering. One more method is we use the plastic sheets. Again, you put the water, then put the plastic sheets on that. So that because of plastic sheets, evaporation doesn't happen. So water should still remain be inside. Then again, you will be able to maintain that the wetness here. So that's how we, one more thing is you make the water available. Then once that is done, gets dried up, I can remove the sheets, again put the water, again put the sheets back. As you put the water directly, not a problem. That's how we maintain the plastic sheeting here. Plastic sheets are maintained. So it's basically made of polyethylene film sheets. They're moisture retarders. They don't let the water go out. They don't let the moisture go out. They still retard it. They delay the process of getting it dried up. Then one more thing is concrete curing compounds. Called cured compound in the sense it's like a chemical. You spray it on the concrete surface directly. So there are two things. One could be very transparent one, or it could be with some kind of coloring one. So, but even if you have a translucent, clear, translucent concrete curing compounds, but still we add some chemical so that we know what area are covering. So, kind of chemical that you spray compound so that retains the moisture within the concrete, so it doesn't water doesn't get evaporated. This is one more technique we add for the curing compounds. One more method mostly we used is steam curing. Steam curing is used basically we use concrete specimens or maybe concrete elements in a airtight chamber, the one kind of chambers where steam is applied for the curing. That's what we do. Mostly we use this in few fabricated structures. This is one more type of it. So look at here the steam curing. You see here the concrete. These are kind of chambers. We have different type of chambers. These are the concrete elements, few fabricated concrete elements for few fabricated structures. So again, you put a chamber, put the element inside that, apply the curing quickly. So this is like as good as your accelerated curing test, where you apply the huge temperature, then you accelerate the curing process. At ordinary pressure, we go for ordinary pressure. Sometimes it's done at the ordinary pressure. So it's carried out usually in the prefabricated structures elements, especially pre-stressed concrete members. But that means curing you do it at ordinary pressure, or steam curing is done at high pressure also. At high pressure, that's also known as autoclaving technique. It's usually again used in lightweight concrete products. We use this kind of methods in lightweight concrete products. That means that the concrete gets cured very quickly when, because they're applying the steam at very high temperature. Then other methods, what we use is electrical curing or infrared radiation curing. So other methods which are rarely used, but mostly they are used in countries where you have more of cold temperatures. Okay, that's where we use it. Okay. Okay, this is all I have for now, guys. So just sort of have for in this module. I'm unmuting all of you.
Okay.
Okay. Guys, any of you have anything to share? You have questions to ask?
No, sir, we are clear about this.
Okay, very good. So, any others? If you have any questions?
ఒక్క నిమిషం లైన్.
So, any other questions, guys? Anyone has any question?
No, sir.
No, it's clear. So, all of you are going through my material, guys. I posted a PDF on WhatsApp. Going through it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We are following your PDF.
Okay, very good. Okay. Again, go through it. Whenever you have time, just go through them and go through MS Shetty also. And anytime you have any question, feel free to contact me either WhatsApp or email. Is okay. But all I want is I want you to understand the concepts. Deliver and understand the concepts.
Actually, we don't have books, sir, right now with us.
Oh, okay. I'll forward
Because
book.
we,
Okay. Okay. So I have a soft copy, MS Shetty. I'll forward it to you. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, sure. I'll send it.
Oh, okay, sir. Okay.
Any other thing, guys? Anything you'd like to share?
Nothing, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Thanks for joining. Our next class probably I'll schedule in the next week, guys. Maybe after 14th or before 14th. This week.
Okay, sir.
Classes. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay.
But keep focusing.
Okay, sir.
on
Thank you.
study. Don't lose out on academics. Okay. Whenever you have time, just go through some books. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for joining.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.